Okay. Okay. So this live is going to be basically bringing awareness to DV situations. I'm not sure if I could say the whole word out on YouTube, but I've been wanting to talk about this topic for a little while. I've been seeing some things, and I think that me speaking on this could possibly help somebody. So before I start, um, I just want to put the numbers out there to the DV hotline, which is 1-800. If you or anyone that you know are is in a DV situation, these are numbers that you can contact to try to get some help. So this is the DV hotline, the national DV hotline, which is 1-800-799-7233. And you can also text the number. You can text begin, BEGIN, to 88788. Also, I am I am based in Maryland, so I know this place that helps women who are going through this. It is based in Maryland, but I have looked it up. They do have a national, um, they have a national program, and it is the House of Ruth, and that number is 410-889-884. And you can also text them. You can text them at, oh no, not text. You can look them up online. Um, the online address is hroof.org. Also, because I want to put out all the places where you can get help first with this situation, because it's definitely needed. Also, you can call your local 211 number for it's in my state it's called First Call for Help. You can call them and just tell them, what your situation, what you're going through, and they will connect you with resources to help you through everything. So in this live, I will be braiding my hair and also discussing a story time about the time that I was in a DV situation, in a DV relationship myself. But I just wanted to put those numbers out there first. So everything that I do, I try to have like some type of proof to back it up with. So I actually went online and did some research about this situation. And I went on to Children's Legal Rights Journal. And I just want to put out basically the facts. Before I get into my story, I want to get into the facts first. So the research I did, basically the number one question is, why do women stay in DV situations? So this website actually listed 20 reasons why women stay in DV situations. I was very surprised to see 20 reasons, but I'm going to break down the first 5 reasons that I seen. So the first reason they said that women stay in DV situations is because of trauma and low confidence. Trauma to and emotional abuse. Oh no, I'm sorry. I skipped over. The website listed 20 reasons why women stay in DV situations, and they range from trauma to low confidence and emotional abuse. So I'm going to touch on 5 of them reasons. So the first reason is trauma and low confidence, which I was actually shocked to see that one as number one. Going through a situation myself, looking back at things, I never thought that I had low confidence, and I never really dived into the trauma that I had in that time. So, like going through it, I didn't think like I wouldn't have thought that that was something that stuck out to me, but that reasoning right there was basically my reasoning for staying in a DV situation. Um, so number two is fear. Fear of leaving is greater than fear of staying. And people be like, "Oh, just leave, just leave, just leave." And it's not that easy. It's not that easy. And that's what I really want to get into. People from the outside, because I was an outsider myself at one point before I went through this situation. People on the outside, that's the first thing they say, just leave, just leave. It's not that easy as you think it is. Three, children. They want to keep their family together. So a lot of women that's in these situations, some of them have children with the abuser, and they feel like if they stay with the abuser, that their kids will be better off. And in reality, it's not. That's not the case. That's not the case. But that is one of the reasons why women stay in these situations. They're trying to keep their family together. They want their kids to be raised with their father. And also, another aspect of DV that people don't talk about is there are actually men in these situations as well that are getting abused as well. It's not talked about as much because men don't really talk about things. They don't talk about things and they keep things to themselves. But there are men out here who are in these situations as well. But yeah, they're trying to keep their family together. For financial constraints, that is a really big reason. Um, a lot of women who are in these situations, the husband, the boyfriend, whoever is usually like the sole provider for his money and the finances and stuff. And that's the first thing they think about. Like, well, if I do leave, what am I going to have? Like, I don't have a job. I don't make any money. Like, I don't have anything. So if I leave, like, that financial backing is going to be gone. So maybe I should just stick it out and stay here. Number five is isolation. Loneliness and isolation. Abusers frequently isolate their victims. They definitely do that. So, um, going back to the point of three, they want to keep their families together. I understand that. I get that. But understanding trying to keep your family together and going through a situation like that, realize and understand that your kids are intaking all of this in. They're seeing all of this. So on this website, they actually have they have a long list of things, and I just want to read one little item from what they were saying. So they said basically, and this website is called the Children's Legal Rights Journal. So everything I'm saying, you can go there and look it up. Children who are exposed to domestic violence in the home suffer long lasting harms. When children witness domestic violence, the experience elevated is elevates stress levels that can neg- negatively affect cognitive functions by impairing normal brain development. These effects become noticeable during behavioral changes early in life and can include excessive inability and emotional distress, sleep problems, fear of being alone, immature behavior, and problems with language and development. Later in life, adults who were exposed to violence as children are at greater risk of substance abuse, juvenile pregnancy, and criminal behavior. Children who experience domestic violence in the home are also at a higher risk of continuing the cycle of abuse as adults, either by becoming abusers or victims themselves. And I thought that was very important to read, because it is a cycle. It's most definitely a cycle. Um, Talking about a little bit of my story, and as I'm talking about this, I'm gonna be braiding my hair. Um, I have been on all three sides of DV situations. I have witnessed DV situations as a child. I have been a friend of somebody that was going through a DV situation first, and then I went through a DV situation myself. Looking at it from a perspective before I went through my situation, all I could think of is just leave. Just leave. Like, don't be with that person. Leave. Like, why are you with this person? Leave. And the friend that I had that was actually going through the situation before I went through my situation, when I have friends, I really, really love my friends. Like, I really, really love my friends. Like, you are my family. You are my family. So if you call me up with a situation and you're telling me that you're scared, you don't know what to do, you want me to call the police, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Like, yeah, whatever you need, friend, I'm gonna be there. Like, I'm gonna be there. So I couldn't understand the friend I had. She would call me and tell me, she was going through these problems or whatever. And, first thing I'm doing, I react. I react. So I'm calling the police for you. You know what I'm saying? I get it. I get it, friend. You can't get to the phone. I'm going to call the police for you. So I called the police. The police came out. The abuser got wind. I guess she told, the guy that I called the police or whatever. And then everything got flipped around on me. Everything got flipped around on me. And then she was really upset with me. And this happened a few times. This didn't happen just one time. This happened a few times. So in my head, as somebody who has not experienced DV at this time, like, I couldn't understand. I couldn't understand. And I actually ended my friendship with her because I felt like she was stupid. I felt like she was stupid for staying. Like, just leave this guy. Just leave him alone. But after years later, when I actually went through a DV situation myself, I realized that it wasn't that easy for her to just leave. So I say that to say, if you have a friend that's experiencing this, I know it's hard. I know it's hard. Believe me, I know it's hard, but stick with your friend. Because the number one thing that abusers try to do is isolate people away from people that actually love and care about them. And that isolation is horrible. It's horrible because when you are going through that, you feel like there's nobody to help you. There's nobody to help you. There's nobody on your side. So ultimately, you keep staying in that situation because you're isolated to a point where you feel like there's nobody there for you. So even though I know I know it is hard, as a friend, watching your friend go through this and everything. But try to stick by them. Try to stick by them, even if it's a family member. Try to stick by them, because that is the number one thing that abusers try to do. They try to isolate their victims, so the victim will feel like they don't have anybody else but that abuser. Nobody don't want you. You trash. You this. You just that and the third. And they stick with that abuser because that's all they know, and there's nobody else there for them. So that's the number one thing I will say. Try to stick in there with your friend, relative, family member, whoever it is. Try to stick in there with them. Um and try to be understanding. Try to be understanding. So, talking about my story, I'm not talking about this to um bring up any old wounds or anything. My The person in my story, I actually forgave this person. This person has moved on with their life, and from what I seen, I haven't. I don't talk to this person uh, currently, but from what I seen in the past, when I did run into this person or see this person on the internet or whatever, it looks like this person is doing pretty well for themselves. So I don't have any ill will in my heart for anybody. Like, I forgive this person totally, and I understand a lot more now than what I did then. um and I talked about this cycle of abuse. And most abusers, when you really dig into things, they seen this type of behavior. They seen this type of behavior growing up. So they are only repeating the cycle. They're only repeating the cycle. So I actually I actually don't have any I have sympathy, basically. I have sympathy for people who have been through this, who's repeating the cycle, who is displaying things that they seen growing up. I really have sympathy or whatever. So I don't have any ill will to anybody. My life is definitely on a different path now. I love the life I have now. So, but I want to talk about this because I feel like it's important to bring awareness to it. It's some things that I've been seeing on the internet, and it's just really been irking me. It's really been irking me. Um, how lightly people talk about things. People lying about going through things like that. Like, that's not something to lie about. It's not something to lie about. It's not something to play with. Like, it is very serious. It is very serious. So, like, that really, yeah, that really irks me. Um, I seen a live recently on TikTok, actually, and I wanted to cry. I wanted to cry. The young lady, she came on live, and it was clearly she had a black eye. She had a black eye. But I don't know. I never seen watch this young lady before, so I don't know or whatever. But what I took away from that live is that, she never said like what happened to her. Everybody was asking in the comments like, what's wrong with you? What happened? You okay? She never made a mention like what happened or anything. And she went about her live, and she was doing makeup. And I just I found that so odd. I found that so odd. So people in the comments was like, they were saying things like, oh, leave her alone. She's trying to bring awareness and this and the third. This needs to be shown. But she never said anything. So the message that I kind of get it a little bit, but as a young person, like, I'm thinking in the minds of young people, had I turned into this TikTok live and I seen this girl, she clearly is in a domestic situation. She has a black eye and she's putting makeup on and she's going about her day like nothing never happened, like nothing is wrong with her. Going about her day. And I'm thinking in the minds of these young women out here that may be going through this. And if I was a young woman going through this and I turned on to the internet and I seen this and I was going through this, I would be like, oh, I would think in my head, like, oh, this is okay. Everybody is in these type of situations. And I really was kind of really upset. That live made me really upset because I get it in one sense, but in another sense, don't come and make light of it. Like something that happens every day. It's not something that should be happening, period. It's not something that should be happening at all. So yeah, a lot of things that I see, it just made me say, like, I need to come and tell my story for real. So this happened years and years and years ago. Um 2009 to be exact. Um so I will start off by saying that I'm gonna touch on some things that I learned as well. Um, but I didn't learn them in that point when I was going through what I was going through. So one of the things that I seen on the website is trauma. Trauma. So I was experiencing, I guess you could say, some trauma. I had a death in my family. My son's father died in 2009. And when it happened, it affected me greatly. It affected me very greatly. It changed my mindset in a whole different way than what I thought about before. To a degree of wanting to, not in that moment, but kind of wanting to provide, and because I have children, if you knew, you over here, I do have children. I have two older children that is 24 and 22. So they were very young at the time. I think they were about nine or 10. Um, so my mindset changed in a way that I I wanted to I wanted to provide them a family. I wanted them to see a mom and a dad, not per se much of a dad, because my oldest son father, his dad had just died. And then my younger son father, he was locked up at the time. So not their dad, but I thought maybe I could find a man to help me raise the want to be a stepdad to my kids. Basically, I wanted to provide them with seeing a woman and a man in a household providing for children, so that way they knew when they was growing up that men are supposed to take care of the household, that they're supposed to be a man present. Basically, that was the idea that I had in my head after the fact. Like I said, my son father had just died, and that was the idea I had in my head. So my whole mindset had changed a lot after that. So also, I didn't properly go through the grieving channels as well. Um, I didn't go through the grieving channels until way later, way later. So that is very important. When you have a death in your family, I would say grieving counseling is definitely a must. It's definitely a must. And I didn't realize it until years and years later when my son was actually going through something, and it was recommended that we both go to grieving counseling. So that helped me tremendously. But at this time, I'm not understanding none of this. Like, that's not where my mindset was at all. Um, so um met a young guy, and he was very young. I believe I was like 30. I want to say I was like 31, 32. I know I was in my 30s. I know I was in my 30s. Um, no, I wasn't in my 30s. I was about 20, 27, 28, somewhere up in there. I was like, I think I was like 27, 28. Had to be, I think. I don't know. Anyway, whatever the case is, the guy was, he was 21. And I was between 27 and 30, I believe. I'm not sure exactly what age I was at the time. So when I found out that he was 21, it was like, oh wow, you was a baby for real. But in my mind, when I first originally met him, um, a relationship really wasn't what was on my mind for real. That wasn't on my mind. He was 21. Yeah, that wasn't on my mind. So the first red flag, first of all, I went after this guy. This guy didn't come go after me. I went after him. I had seen him a few times. Um, I'm not going to say where I seen him, but I seen him a few times. And when I ran into him this particular day, I was like, okay, this the day. He didn't try to talk to me or anything, which I was like, I was kind of shocked at the time, whatever, the way how my mind was set up back then. I was shocked. Like, he didn't even try, he didn't try to talk to me. So I went after him, and I talked to him, you know, found out he's 21, whatever. He came over my house. First red flag is when I got ready to go to work. Um, I let him stay in my house. I let him stay in my house. Like, I didn't know this guy. I said I seen him around a few times, but I didn't know him. I let him stay in my house. And I let him stay in my house. And when I came home, he had cleaned my house from top to bottom. So I was very happy. Like, wow, like you cleaned my house top to bottom. And then shortly after that, then I decided to let this guy move in with me. Another red flag. Another red flag. But I didn't see it at the time. I didn't see it at the time. I thought that, the guy, he was all into me. I guess I thought that he was into me. I guess I thought that he really wanted me. That's what I thought. So some time went by, a few months went by, and I'm gonna break down two incidents of DV that we had. Not every incident that we had. Um, but I'm gonna break down the first incident and the last incident. And I was with this guy a period of 3 years off and on, because I would break up with him, and then he would text me, he would call me, and I would get right back with him. For 3 years, this went on just like this. So the first time that he put his hands on me, um, so this guy, and going back to what I read, what they said about substance abuse, this guy had a substance abuse problem. And I didn't see it as a problem because he smoked weed. And at the time, I smoked weed too. So I didn't see it as a problem. But the difference between when he smoked weed and I smoked weed when I used to smoke weed, um, If I didn't have the money to buy weed, okay, I was okay. I was good. Like, oh well, I'll just wait till I get paid or wait till I get the money to, get it. Like, it's no big deal. But this guy that smoked weed, if he didn't have it, it was a bad day for everybody. And I mean, like a bad day, like he would start talking about hurting himself and all types of stuff. So, in my mind, at that time, it was like, okay, I didn't have no money. He didn't have no money. I need to get some money. It was two things that he needed for him to have a good day or whatever, or us not to have a bad day. He needed his weed, and he needed like a miniature bottle of what was that drink? It was I can't think of the daggone drink name right now. That's crazy. But anyway, it was a little miniature bottle or whatever. And as long as he had that, he was good to go. We didn't have no problems, no issues. Um, so I didn't have any money. He didn't have any money. So I felt like it was my job to go get some money so I can get him what he needed. I don't know why I felt like that, but I did. So I called up a friend. One of them friends. You say he's just a friend. Yeah, one of those friends. But my thoughts at the time was just to borrow money from this person and that's it. Like that's it. Although in the past it was more than that or whatever, but at that point it was just to borrow some money so I can go get my man what he needed basically. That was my thought. That was my whole thought process. Well, on the way back in the house, I was in this guy's car. On the way in the house, I drove past the guy. And ironically, he looked in the car. I looked at him. He locked eyes with me. I locked eyes with him, and he saw me. So at that moment, I was like, "Oh snap! Oh snap! This don't look good. This don't look good at all." So when I got in the house, automatically he questioned me. Who was that guy? What was you doing? And I told him it was nobody. It was nothing. It was nothing, basically. I told him it was nothing. Of course, he didn't believe me. And he proceeded to choke me. And it shocked me. It shocked me because I I only knew this guy probably about 3 months at this point, and this has never happened to me before. Like not in this way. Like he choking me. Like what? Like how does it happen? Like so it was very unbelievable to me. It was very unbelievable, but he was sure enough choking me. Going back to the statement I read about children seeing this and them emulating or them continuing the cycle, my kids was home. My kids was home. And my son came out. And my son seen what was going on. And he immediately reacted. He immediately reacted. He grabbed a knife out the kitchen and he proceeded to go up to the guy and say, "Leave my mommy alone." So the guy stopped choking me and he turned around and he did something that I seen before. It's just crazy. It's really crazy. He did something that I actually witnessed the same situation before. The cycle. The cycle that I talked about, the cycle, I witnessed this. I seen this before. And this guy took the knife from my son and he stabbed himself in the leg. And he stabbed himself in the leg. He said because he right, my son right, he shouldn't have been putting his hands on me. So now it went from him choking me out. I can't really respond to him choking me because now he done stabbed himself. So now I'm worried about him. So that was the first situation. That was the first time he put his hands on me. Um, After everything happened, I had to go to the hospital with him. He told the doctors he made a mistake and cut himself. He was trying to do some project or something. I don't know. And I knew I was very upset, and he was very apologetic to me. He was saying he was sorry. He will never do it again. He apologized. And I remember he fixed breakfast. He fixed breakfast this particular morning. And I kind of like, I'm not going to say I forgot about the incident, but I put the incident aside, basically. So I remember he fixed breakfast, and I went to go try to eat the food. And my throat was hurting so bad, where as though I couldn't digest this food. And I immediately started crying all over again. Because you really put your hands on me. He apologized again profusely. Um, and after that point, he never put his hands on me in that way. Again, in that way. Did he put his hands on me again? Yes, he did. He did several times. But he would put his hands on me in a way where as though it was like an accident. It was a mistake. And each time when it happened, I put it through in my head like, oh, it was an accident. I even said a few times like it was my fault. We had this thing and things that I learned in a relationship that I will never do again. We had this thing where we went through each other's phones. I would go through his phone, he go through my phone, and if he seen anything out of the ordinary, he would flip out. He would flip out, and that would be a whole argument. And then I would get hurt in a way where as though like I would be trying to get out the room, because after I get upset and I'm yelling and I'm screaming, I get to a point where as though I know that I need to leave the room. So I would try to get out the room, and he would do things like try to hold me in the room. And every time when he would try to hold me in the room, my arm would hit the door, or my leg would get cut on the end of the bed, or uh I remember I had a busted lip one time. Like, yeah, things would just happen that way. But it was never in a way like the first time when he first put his hands on me. So in my head, I didn't chalk it up as him actually putting his hands on me. Yeah, I didn't think that was what was really going on. I knew he had problems, but I didn't chalk it up as him actually putting his hands on me. When my family found out he was putting his hands on me, um they were very upset. They were very, very upset. So my mother found out first. My mother seen some bruises on my arm, and also some things that also was going on with me at this time is that I was losing weight drastically. I was losing weight drastically. Like, I was the littlest I ever been in my whole life. Like, Yeah, I was losing weight drastically. And things that I didn't notice at the time about that relationship is when I would be with him, I would be losing weight. When if we would break up, we go through a breakup cycle, I'll start gaining weight back. But I didn't put any of that stuff together at the time. So when my mom found out, of course, she told, my brother. And of course, brothers being protectors of their sisters, whether they're little brother or the big brother. My brother wanted to, my brother wanted to be this, wanted to be this black. So he came to my house to come beat him up. And this guy had me thinking, and this is how abusers are so manipulative in a way. When this guy found out my brother was at the door, and the reason why my brother was at the door, he told me basically that he don't want to have to hurt my brother, that he don't want to have to unalive my brother, because he told me that this was previously, before all this, that he practiced karate or whatever, and he knows some moves that unalive people basically. And he said he didn't want to have to unalive my brother. So I believed him. And I was like, oh no, I can't let my brother go down like this over me. Like, so I didn't open the door. And after that, my brother stopped talking to me for a very long time. He stopped talking to me for a very long time because he couldn't understand why I didn't open the door and why I continued to stay with this man. Um, the last incident, the last incident, boy, that. So it got to the point where as though I was afraid of this man. I had my own apartment, and I was afraid of this man because he knew how to break into my house. He broke into my house frequently. Like, if we were supposed to be broken up, he would stalk me basically. And he would break into my house, and I would know he was in my house because little things he would leave behind. And he did this often. Um the last incident. So and every time when I would get back with him, I would not want to tell anybody that I was back with him because I knew it was stupid. Like, I knew it was stupid, but I wouldn't want to tell anybody that I was back with him. So the last incident, we had, I guess, just got back together again. And around this time, he was doing some unfavorable things that I don't approve of at all. And hanging out with people, unfavorable people. But anyway, supposedly, and this is the story that he told me, because I couldn't understand why he would do this to me. He went out of town or whatever, and he was with some friends, and supposedly they slipped something in his drink or whatever. Oh, supposedly. And I didn't know any of this. When I met back up with him, we were supposed to go by my apartment or whatever that I wasn't staying in because I was afraid of him. And this is the when you are friends of somebody that's going through a DV situation, this is the nonsense that it is. It is. And that person, that victim or whatever have you, they don't understand why they keep going back to this person. Some people reasoning might be love. Some people reasoning might be financial reasonings. My reasoning was the trauma that I had experienced, and also I had an attachment to him. And he also put things in my head to make me think like nobody else wanted me. Nobody else really wanted to be with me. So I had a lot of that going on. So it was a lot of back and forth. But anyway, this particular time, um, we was going past my apartment that I was not staying in because I was so afraid of him. But we was going past the apartment to pick up some stuff. And out of nowhere, he looks at me and he says, that I stole his money. And I'm like, why would I steal your money? First of all, I make more money than you do. So why would I steal your money? Like that don't even make sense for real. So I took it as like, I don't know, he just had something to drink. He just going off or whatever. And he kept talking about it. Like, you stole my money. I can't believe you stole my money. Why would you do that? And I'm just like, where's this all coming from? Like, I'm confused. I'm really, really confused. Like, you don't have any money for me to steal from. Like, first of all, like, so what are you talking about? So we were in, I think we were in like a, I guess you in New York they call them gypsy cabs or whatever. And here where I live at they call them hacks. So we were in a hack or whatever. And all I remember is he kept talking about this money that I supposedly stole or whatever. And the next thing I knew, and I can't really fully recall the whole situation because it happened so fast. But it was something on the lines of him kicking me out the car or something. Like he kicked me out the car and he might have punched me in my face. Like he did some stuff to me. And I don't know, was it the trauma? Did I black out? I don't know, but I can't really recall like everything that he did to me. But he did some stuff to me whereas though I landed outside of the car on the ground and my shoe was in the car. So I I was crying, I was hysterical. The driver, he was very concerned about me. He like, you okay? Oh my god, you all right? And I'm like, just take me, just take, leave, just leave or whatever. And I guess he ran off somewhere and the driver got me out of there, whatever. um I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I was in a state of shock because up until this point, like it was the first time he tried to choke me. Well, he choked me out. And then every other time after that, it was nothing like that. And I was so shooken up. Um, so I knew I had to file paperwork on this guy because he already had me afraid of going to my house. I already was afraid of staying at my apartment, the apartment that I paid money for. Like every month I paid rent at this apartment and I was scared to go because of him. He already had me scared like that. So I went to go file paperwork and I filed a restraining order on him. I did. I did. Um and he showed up. He showed up. He showed up at court. Um and he told the judge basically somebody slipped something in his drink. He didn't mean to do it. So they granted me my uh they granted me my what is it called? What is it called? They granted me my I can't think of the name of it right now, but they granted it. And he was supposed to stay away from me, and I was supposed to stay away from him. And for about a month, he did. For about a month, he did. And I stayed away from him. But you would think that after all of that, I would have left him alone. He texted me, and the text was, "Oh, I remember when we used to do this." And the next thing I know, we was right back together again. Right back together again. He apologized profusely. He told me he would never do that again. He don't know what came over him. They slipped something in his drink. And to actually say, he didn't. After that time, he never put his hands on me again. But in my mind, I knew it wasn't right. I knew I shouldn't be with him. And then not only that, is going back to what I read, children who witness these situations, the cycle continues, go on and on. And I say this to say, anybody that's in a situation like this right now, get out. Get out. You're not helping your children. You're making it worse. Because what they seeing right now is what is going to continue the cycle. Telling women to leave DV situations, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. I've been told several times to leave the situation. But what I'm telling you, from one mother to another mother, you're not helping your kids. You're making it worse. Ultimately, that was my reasoning for ultimately, finally severing ties with this person. Because of what my kids was experiencing through me. Through me. I just really want that message to get out there. I really do. You're not helping your children by them seeing this. You're not helping them at all. You think you stand with them because that's their daddy or whomever. You making them worse because it sticks in their head. And when they grow up, most likely either they're going to be an abuser themselves or they're going to get abused. So if you don't want that for your children, get out. Just I provided all the numbers at the beginning of this live. Get some help. Get some help and get out. And to people who are friends or family members of somebody that's going through this, please, please, please. I know it's hard, but please stick by them. Stay a phone call away. Stay by them because they need you. Because one day will be the day that they realize, like, this is it. And they're going to need your help. They're going to need your help. So that was the ultimate reason why I severed ties, because of my children and what they seen me going through. So I just hope that this message really helps somebody, because I felt it in my spirit. I've been feeling this in my spirit for a long time to get this message out here. I really have, like a long time. But I've been putting it on hold and putting it on hold, and I can't hold it back anymore. This message need to get out there. Women don't need to be going through this. It is not your fault. It is not your fault. I don't care what they telling you. It is not your fault. None of this is your fault. Do I think that men who have these issues can get some help and become better people? I do. I do. I really do. But I think that they have to want to get help. They have to realize they have a problem. And I'm not talking about just trying to apologize for what they did before so that you won't leave them. They need to want to get help on their own. On their own. Um and until they get some help, you just gotta leave that situation. You gotta leave that situation. Like, because it's not helping you or your children at all. And there is light on the end of the tunnel. There is light. That situation with me was many, many, many years ago. And I am a different person now. What I had to learn through that situation is that I needed to love myself. I had to really not just say, oh, I love myself. And I had to really learn to love myself, because that's where it starts at. That was my reasoning for sticking in to that situation, because I didn't love me. I didn't know that I didn't love me. But looking back at it, if I loved myself, I would have never allowed a man to do that. Me today, that's not gonna fly. It's not gonna fly. It's totally not gonna fly. But me then, I didn't love myself. And that's why I stuck in that situation. So I learned to love myself. And how you learn to love yourself. I know people say that all the time. Learn to love yourself, girl. Love yourself. Do what makes you happy. Do what makes you happy. People, do different things or whatever, but do what makes you happy. Take yourself out. Buy yourself some flowers. Like, yeah, my thing is food, so yeah, I'll buy myself something to eat. Like, yeah. So learn to love yourself and stop depending on men to love you. So that is the message that I want to get out there. I think I'm almost an hour in. If you tuned into this live, thank you. Oh, I see somebody said hello. I'm just looking at the chat. But yeah, hello. If you tuned into this live, thank you for tuning in. And I hope that you learned something and you gained something. And if you are a friend or family member of someone who is going through that, please just stick by them. Stick by them. If you going through that, make sure you take advantage of those numbers. I'm gonna try to leave them on the I'm gonna try to leave them in the live somewhere. But that's what I wanted to say. Like, don't sit and stay silent and go through these situations, because it's not normal. It's not a normal thing. It's not something that nobody should be going through. And it's not your fault. It's not your fault. You are worth way more than that. You are worthy to be loved by a man that really loves you. Not a fake men. And another thing I want to say, last thing I want to say about men who put their hands on women, most of the time they put their hands on women and they can't even fight men at all. They can't fight men. They can't fight men. And they're taking their issues and angers out on women because they can't fight a man. But anyway, I just wanted to get that message out there. Thank you. Please make sure that you like the live, share, definitely share. Um, you think it'll help somebody, definitely share it with them. And the biggest message I want to say, like especially women with kids, what your kids is seeing, you don't want that on your conscience. I'm gonna tell you that now. You don't want you to be the cause of your child going through the same thing that you going through right now. So I'm gonna leave it at that. You guys have a good morning, cause here it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. You have a good morning, and yeah, stay prayed up and stay safe out there.